All right, what do we have, Turks? Are you going to be surprised to find out that we've got an awesome show for you guys today? We make a lot of big ones, we make a lot of little ones. The major story of today is Democrats go to war with the Chamber of Commerce. You didn't hear that wrong. They're going to war. So now, the reason you might be surprised by that, if you're following the show at all, is Democrats go to war. Really? They might be serious here. And you know what? The business community and multinational corporations, they might have made a mistake here. Today might be an interesting turning point. I'm just throwing that out there. We're going to get to it in a little bit. We're going to describe it. We're going to tell you who the leader of the war is. Come on. I don't understand how anybody doesn't find politics fun. All right, now, and then, of course, later in the program, Casper comes. We got Jonathan Alder from Newsweek. We've got a lot of great things going on here. All right, but let's get started. First, quick little thing. Yesterday, Christine O'Donnell did an ad she released where she declared she was not a witch and that she was one of us. She looked into the camera with light music in the background and said, "I am you." And our producer here, the legendary J.R. Jackson, was wondering if that really is the case. So he put together a little compilation of that ad, plus some of the other things that Christine O'Donnell has said. So are you Christine O'Donnell? You be the judge.
I'm not a witch.
I dabbled into witchcraft. I never joined a coven.
I'm nothing you've heard.
One of my first dates with a witch was on a satanic altar, and I didn't know it. And, I mean, there's little blood there and stuff.
I'm you.
I'm a young woman in my 30s, and I remain chaste.
Right.
Evolution is a myth, and even Darwin himself.
Evolution?
So then why aren't monkeys still evolving into humans?
None of us are perfect, but none of us can be happy with what we see all around us.
People who get AIDS as victims, it's that kind of spinning with words and manipulating words that empowers the bias when it comes to AIDS.
Politicians who think spending, trading favors, and backroom deals are the ways to stay in office.
That's not going to help me get votes. People are looking at this as perhaps me being that filibuster vote.
I'll go to Washington and do what you do.
Do you owe back taxes?
No, I don't
Okay,
owe
fine.
back taxes.
Did you ever foreclose on a home?
No.
I'm Christine O'Donnell, and I approve this message. I'm you.
Now, the only thing I regret is that we don't have on tape her saying, no, stem cell research is terrible. The scientists have already created mice with fully functioning human brains. Okay, that was from a Bill O'Reilly episode, and he hasn't let that out of the vault. So, please, Bill, do us a favor. But the reason I love that compilation is because it's not what people are saying about her. It's what she said. It's on tape. So JR put it together for you so you can be the judge. All right. Now, let's get to the major story of today. So the Chamber of Commerce has been spending a lot of money against Democrats. They, of course, represent business interests, corporate interests, and including multinational corporations. And that we're going to get to how that's an issue in a second. But they've spent 85% of their money on Republicans and against Democrats. So it's not, in the past, sometimes business interests would hedge their bets and be closer to 50-50. No longer the case. They're saying, no, those Republicans, they will do whatever we tell them. They're good little boys. We're going to give to them, okay? And they've already given to campaigns for trying to fight health insurance reform. Where do they get that money from? Companies like Aetna, who are part of the Chamber of Commerce, and specifically donated to that fight because they didn't want to be regulated. They wanted to be able to make as much money as possible for their executives. And a Chamber of Commerce also collected a lot of money from, guess what? Turns out Wall Street banks to fight Wall Street reform. Who would have guessed? Oil companies to fight any kind of reform efforts or giving away tax subsidies to oil companies, and the list goes on and on. But they have made their allegiance clear. They are with the Republicans, and they are spending a tremendous amount of money in these elections. They say they will, in the end, spend an unprecedented $75 million on these midterm elections. And that blows away any previous spending by the Chamber of Commerce and almost by any group, right? So they're saying, tell Randy Gonzalez we're coming, right? So normally the reaction from the Democrats would be panic, right? It was, oh, no, please, what do I do? How do I cater to you? No, give the money to me instead. Well, that's, what is known as the Rahm Emanuel strategy. And, I think the president's been a little guilty of that as we go along. But now come to find out as elections roll around that Rahm Emanuel was wrong. That those business interests were not going to give to the Democrats. They were overwhelmingly going to give it to the Republicans. And so the idea of appeasing the drug companies by giving them the same deal that Bush got, well, it didn't really work too well. Trying to appease the health insurance companies and come up with a compromise and kill the public option didn't work too well. And the list goes on and on. So now that the Democrats realize, oops, that didn't work out, well, they have a couple of choices. And normally the choice that the Democrats would make is cut and run. I'll be honest with you, politically, that's usually their MO. They say, oh my God, where do we run? Please, business, we love you. In this case, something a little different has happened. New day in America. You know what Nancy Pelosi's saying? She's basically saying, bring it on. Listen to this very interesting quote from the Speaker of the House. She says, quote, whenever you get hit with an overwhelming weight, you have to jujutsu it. Oh, look at Nancy. So we want to turn it against them. I want to tattoo them right onto the Republican candidate. Big oil, big banks, big health insurance. We're going to tattoo you with that. So it's like doggy do stuck on your shoe. Where you going to go? People will know. Here comes Nancy off the top rope. Suplex. Oh, she brought him all the way up to the top rope and suplexed him off of that. Wow, Jesus, Lord mercy. So look, that makes sense. You say, all right, if Big Oil is going to spend money against me, well, then I'm going to say the Republican who's collecting from Big Oil is the one who's representing Big Oil. And we know that because of people like Republican Joe Barton, who, when BP was testifying in Congress, said, I'm so sorry. Okay, apologizing to BP for the oil disaster they created in the Gulf. Is this a strategy that can work? Hell yes. Hell yes. And I didn't see that coming. And, honestly, when I asked Nancy, are you really going to go in that direction? She told me,
you don't know me, and I don't know you.
I said, I guess you're right. I didn't know you were going to come like this. Now, here's another little extra twist. Think Progress, it was a progressive blog, and did a little investigation. Now, these are all facts, and you can look into it yourself, and other news organizations are looking into it, etc. Okay? So they said, all right, where's the Chamber of Commerce money coming from? Now, some of it is coming from the United States. Okay, good. And they say that they're an organization that, gives some money to politics. That's true, and they have some other things as well. All right, now that's all kind of fairly kosher for the moment being. But here's the other problem. The Chamber of Commerce also gets money from abroad. So, for example, when you do an investigation, you find out that companies from Bahrain have given the Chamber of Commerce about $100,000. Companies from India have given them $200,000. Now, if they spend foreign money on U.S. elections, guess what that is? That's illegal. Okay? So now we're asking the Chamber of Commerce, hey, how do we know you're not spending money on behalf of foreign corporations to defeat local politicians here? They say, oh, we have internal safeguards. Can you show us what those safeguards are? Of course not. No. It's all top secret. What are you, the government? No, you're not the government. What do you mean it's top secret? There's a law that says you can't spend foreign money. So did you spend it? Show us the records, right? And they said, well, and we keep it very separate, very separate. The money that comes in from Bahrain goes straight into our pocket or wherever it goes, but it doesn't necessarily go to political ads. Really? Why can't you take $200,000 from here and $200,000 from here and switch it? Money is fungible. So, of course it could go in there. And certainly you have to show us that you didn't, because that seems to be going into your coffers and then spent on political ads, which is illegal. So, all of a sudden, we got a fight on our hands. And the Democrats are rolling up their sleeves. Okay, now we're having a conversation. But look, the other reason why that might be monumentally important, and right now I'm not saying it is, but it might be, is that business interests here, corporate interests, multinational corporations, etc., they might have screwed up here for two reasons. One, politically, they're on the wrong side of this thing. The Democrats put up a piece of legislation saying we want to give tax breaks to companies that bring jobs from abroad back to the United States, and we want to take away tax breaks for offshoring jobs. The Chamber of Commerce hated that, paid off the Republicans to kill it. And they did. The Republicans filibustered it. Now, when you ask Republicans, voters, Democratic voters, independent voters, they all agree. That's horrible. They're like, no, 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 we want jobs here. We don't want them in Bahrain and India. Okay? So they're playing with political dynamite there. Okay? Number two, look, the reason why they gave 50-50 in the past, or roughly speaking, and they'd give a little bit more to the Republicans, but not this much, is because you want to make sure that both parties are on your side. That's how they bought the Democrats and the Republicans. That's been our number one problem. If they give up that neutrality, if you will, well, then the Democrats have nothing to lose by going after them. That's a major mistake by corporations, okay? And that might free up the Democrats to actually represent us. Do I dare dream? Do I dare dream? Maybe a little bit, but is that blue I see? There's a little bit of hope in there, right? Because that's an opening they created. And if the Democrats walk through it, it'll help them politically, no question about that. And maybe they'll realize, hey, you know what? They can spend 8-1 against us, and that is the current numbers. Business interests spending 8-1 against the Democrats. And the Democrats might still win some of those elections. And Democrats realize, hey, you know what? If they're going to spend all their money against us, well, then they're on the opposite side. So let's go get the son of a bitches. That would be awesome. Is that blue I see? Okay. All right. So now there's a lot of twists and turns to this story. Oh, by the way, let me give you a little bit more from Nancy Pelosi. The Republicans are trying to attack her in a couple of ways. One, they say, oh, Chamber of Commerce is on our side. Number two, they say, oh, Newt Gingrich came out and said, these Democrats, they're for food stamps. And we're for paychecks. Republicans are for paychecks. And these guys are for food stamps. Look at all these new food stamps they gave out. Well, look, if you ask me, they gave out the food stamps because you caused a giant recession. It's not like they wanted to give out more food stamps. I mean, a Republican idea on Democrats is so goofy. Like that Democrats and liberals like sit around and go, how can we get more people on food stamps? Can you imagine? I've never been in any secret liberal cabal where people are like, yeah, let's get people more poverty-stricken. That'll be awesome. And then we can come to the rescue. It's only in Republican conspiracy theories and their fantasies that stuff like that happens. No, the reason they're getting more food stamps is because they don't have a job anymore because of the recession caused by Bush and the Republicans. But here again, Nancy Pelosi strikes back. She says, quote, God bless them for being true to who they are. They just can't resist the urge to stomp on poor people. They drove the country into a terrible ditch. The president and the Congress are trying to pull us out. The economists tell us that if we hadn't acted the way in federal initiatives from the Congress and others, that we would have had 8.5 million more people unemployed. The unemployment would be 14.5%. The deficit would be huge, even huger than it is. That's all true. The numbers are backed up by the CBO. 8.5 million more people unemployed. That's a Democratic spin on it. Reality is, CBO says, anywhere between 1.4 to 3.3 million people got jobs because of the stimulus bill. Now, she might be adding other parts of the legislation, et cetera, et cetera. But look at her. She's fighting back, and she's saying, look, the Republican thing is stomp on poor people. We're not going to take it anymore. Look, this is as strong as I've seen Democrats in a long time. And then normally what Democrats do is they drive away their supporters, right? I'm being serious about this, and literal, right? Like during the 2008 election, there was all these Republican groups that sprung up, independent groups that attacked Democrats. Now, when the progressive groups want to do the same thing, Obama told them, no, I want you to do unilateral disarmament. I've got plenty of money. I raised it. I want to control it. I'm going to spend it. All of you guys stand down, right? And move on, et cetera. They listened and they stood down. Now the problem is they're not doing that anymore. They don't have, so they didn't raise a lot of money to spend in the 2010 elections. And the Democrats are looking around going, what happened? Where are you guys? Well, you told me to go away. Now all of a sudden you want me. But that's not how it works, right? But now they're trying to, some are in a panic or trying to reconstitute, get some money in. It's nowhere near the corporate money, but they're mainly spending it on mailings and organizing volunteers, not even on campaign ads, right? The independent progressive groups, right? So when they asked Nancy Pelosi, do you want these groups to raise more money, help you guys out, and run more ads? Her response was, quote, "I hope so, I hope so, I hope so." Okay. She said it 3 times. All of a sudden, they're like, "Oh, right, having allies, that would be great. Having a little bit of money from our friends, that would be swell." So, hey, look, better late than never. You know, it's a month before the election. But I love this Nancy Pelosi attitude. Let's go get him, okay? To which but when I heard it, I thought, yes! Okay. So now the Chamber of Commerce is on the defense. They're trying to figure out, how they can justify the foreign funding and where it came from. Roy Blunt is a congressman, of course, Republican, now running for the Senate in Missouri. And he's actually gotten significant money spent against his opponent in Missouri from the Chamber of Commerce. So Think Progress catches up with him, and they're going to ask him, hey, look, it seems like a lot of money is being directed against your opponent, and it might be foreign money, which is illegal, that the Chamber of Commerce is collecting to run against Carnahan. So how do you answer that? Well, let's go to clip number 7 and find out.
We reported at Think Progress yesterday that the Chamber of Commerce is accepting money from foreign corporations using that same bank account to run attack ads. You're elected to the Senate. Will you investigate this? Excuse me, Roy Blunt. Sir, the Chamber of Commerce has admitted that it's accepting foreign money from businesses like the Bahrain Petroleum Company, and they're using that same bank account to run attack ads. Will you investigate the use of foreign money in our election? Congressman Blunt. Pardon me, Congressman Blunt. Congressman Blunt, we reported yesterday at Think Progress that the Chamber of Commerce is fundraising from foreign companies in India and Bahrain and many other places. They're using that same bank account to run attack ads. Are you going to investigate this? Sir, do you have a moment?
Who's he talking? He's not even talking to anybody on the phone.
Excuse me, does anyone on Congressman Blunt's staff have any comment?
It's like a walk of shame. After they slept with the lobbyists, they're now doing the walk of shame back to back.
And the event went fine?
Oh, sure.
Good? Good.
Pick up some chicken on the way home, honey?
Careful.
Grill some food, Stu. This guy won't leave me alone.
Okay. Excuse me, Congressman Blunt, I have a membership application that the Chamber of Commerce is distributing in Bahrain, asking for funds for the same bank account, the same campaign account used to run campaign advertisements here in America. Do you have any comment on that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Do you think
Talk to the chamber. I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, thank you.
Get you whatever you need. Thanks.
Get!
He said at the end, if you couldn't hear him over the honking, I have no idea what you're talking about. Chamber of Commerce, what name so? Really? They're on my side? They've been running all those ads, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of ads against my opponent? Huh. And I voted to make sure that companies that were outsourcing jobs would continue to get tax breaks? I didn't know that. Really? Huh, what's weird. I voted against Wall Street reform, and Chamber of Commerce got money from Wall Street and gave it to me to run against my opponent. Huh. I didn't know that. That's really weird. How very, very strange. Look, Democrats, if you actually bother to point out what the Republicans do and their ties with big oil, big banks, etc., you will be shocked at the bonanza you get politically, okay? Will you, for the love of God, go on the attack? It looks like you are. Oh, God bless. Go forward. Move forward. Is that blue I see? Young Turks.
About the cluck, Eve ain't tripping. Most dudes is okay.
All right, back on the Young Turks. Jake Huger, Anna Kasparian here. Anna assures me this is going to be a fun hour. Let's see how that turns out. And I said, I'm not sure you can do it. And she said,
You don't know me, and I don't know you.
That's such an unfortunate clip.
There's a lot of things unfortunate about it. Mm-hmm. And then I came into the office, and I couldn't see where Anna was sitting. And I told her,
And I have never seen you, and you've never seen me.
Okay, I'm stretching here. I'm stretching, but I'm having fun. By the way, just a random political story for you here. Another housekeeper came out for Meg Whitman's housekeeper. Okay, butchering the story. Came out and said, "You don't know me, and I don't know you." Meg Whitman is cheap, and she's terrible to work for, and she use her workers like they're disposable. Okay. Okay. Well,
Isn't that the case with most CEOs, though?
first of all, yes, it's not the case for a lot of people who are at any job, right? So I don't know. I'm not buying this line of attack on Meg Whitman too much, to be honest with you. Okay. Maybe I'm the bad guy here, but like, for example, when I worked doing data entry, one of my first jobs here in the United States, God, I hated that job. Oh, God, I hated it.
I mean, how could you hate data entry? I mean, loads of fun.
Right, and plus I did some other incredibly boring stuff too. Right, you know what I was? I was disposable. I was. They could have gotten somebody else to do the data entry. Okay, and that's just how it is sometimes. Okay, I mean, we're not all Randy Moss. The Minnesota Vikings don't need us all, right? And then sometimes that's how it is. And so it's not like, can you believe she treated us that way? I don't know. I mean, she's probably had 28 housekeepers at least, and then 2 of them didn't like her. And one said that they got into a dispute, this latest one that came out and said they got into a dispute about how much money she was owed. Yeah, okay, I believe that. And maybe she was right, the housekeeper was right, and maybe Meg Whitman was right, I don't know. And she's like, she was so cheap, she's like a billionaire. That's true, I'm not a billionaire, so I get to be cheap, she's, okay, etc. But if somebody charges you for things they didn't do, if you think that, well, it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or a trillionaire.
Right.
I still wouldn't pay them. But I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm not saying the housekeeper's wrong. I'm just saying I have no idea, right? So I think, I think that stuff's weak sauce, if you ask me. Okay.
Agreed.
Right. But then when I asked the housekeeper about that, she said,
You don't know me, and I don't know you.
by the way, the housekeeper's name was something like Armstrong, so she wouldn't have said it that way.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Okay. I'm guessing, I don't know what her ethnicity is. I'm just guessing that it probably was not Latino with a name like Armstrong. Okay. What's next?
All right. We're going to start with a story that I think is probably going to spark some sort of debate. So let's start with controversy.
Yeah, those are one.
Okay. All right. About a month ago, a video surfaced online of a blonde girl, unidentified girl, throwing puppies, whimpering little puppies, into a river.
Disaster.
And laughing while she did it. Now, we have the video for you guys, and I just want to warn you, if you are squirmish at all, don't watch this video. Just tune out for 40 seconds and then come back. But just know that it's brutal.
So let's watch.
Okay, so she has a bucket full of puppies.
Oh, Jesus, man.
She throws them in the river.
That's crazy.
Ugh.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. So this video was posted on YouTube, okay, probably by the individual who was videotaping it. And online communities went crazy. And there was one specific online community that somehow identified this girl, okay? She's a 12-year-old that lives in Bosnia. And police investigated the situation to see whether or not she should face any type of criminal charges for this behavior. Well, it turns out that since she's 12 years old, and since some random old lady surfaced saying that she saved the puppies, they're not going to give her any type of consequences whatsoever.
All right. Let me explain a couple things. First of all, the old lady did not save any puppies. Okay. They now have a picture of her with the puppies, and it looks like it's not the same puppies as they're in the video. I don't even need to see that picture. Okay. What, some old Bosnian lady jumped into that river and saved all of those puppies?
Right, like 5 or 6 puppies. Just
okay.
found them, saved them. It was all okay.
I don't think Aquaman could have saved all those puppies, let alone like an old Bosnian grandmother. So that's obviously done to cover up, to say like, oh, it's okay, we investigated, everything's going to be all right now. So now look, the internet's going crazy over this. They track her, they track the guy who posted it, they find his Facebook account, they find a couple of possible suspects they reported. Now that's at least that part is good, right? Because they found out who was responsible. Now, of course, it being the internet, they say terrible things should happen to her, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody's surprised by that. My guess is that the local Bosnian community was like, what do we do with these people, right? And then they probably know the girl and they don't want to do anything. And so they made up a story about how grandma jumped in there and saved all the puppies. That's my guess.
That's probably 100% true.
Right. Now, what do you think should have happened to her?
She should face some sort of consequence for that. That's not okay. I mean, she had absolutely no remorse while she was doing that. There were several puppies in that bucket. They're whimpering, and she throws them one by one into the river and says things like, woo! Like it's great fun to throw poor little puppies into the river.
By the way, they say she's 12, the authorities do. I'm not sure I believe that either. That also makes her seem less culpable. So if she's like 15 or 16, but if she's 12, what do you heartless Americans want us to do? And the Germans are very moved by this. A lot of people are moved by this throughout the world, of course. But there's a specific German animal rights group that has, sought to make sure that she gets punished in some way. Now, look, we don't live in Bosnia. We live in the United States. If it was the United States, we know that there'd be consequences. Just ask Michael Vick, okay? So now, if they don't do anything about it, I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm not sure the TYT Supreme Court has jurisdiction over Bosnia.
Well, we don't, and there's nothing we can do. That's like the most obvious thing in the world. Not us as TYT, but the U.S. government can't do anything. And
we can reinvade them.
Yes, let's reinvade them over the puppies.
Actually, we invaded to help them, too. To be clear on that. But anyway, so let's say that TYT did have jurisdiction. What should she get? If she really is 12.
If she's really 12. I mean, jail time is ridiculous, but there should be some sort of consequence. I'm not sure what it is, okay? I really haven't decided what the consequence should be, but there should be some sort of consequence, whether it's community service or whether it's she has to take special classes on, the terrible consequences of animal abuse. I don't know, something to let her know that that's not okay. Because at this point, this girl does not feel any remorse. And she doesn't care. Like it's like
as far as we know, right? And she got nothing for it. She got no punishment. We know that, right? So look, here's my thoughts on it. If she was older, I'd say, hey, you know what? We could really discuss going to juvenile detention, et cetera, for X number of months or whatever it might be. If she really is 12, then look, a billion hours of community service, okay? But very specifically, cleaning up after dogs.
Yes.
So,
I love that.
So you got to go to the kennel and clean up poop until you're approximately the same age as that so-called Bosnian grandmother who saved all the puppies. Okay? Am I not merciful, right? No jail time, but at the same time, some appropriate punishment suiting a woman who apparently does not care very much about dogs, cleaning up after them. She might be rather annoyed by that for the next 65 years.
By the way, let me just say one thing. It's amazing that a group of people on the internet were able to identify who she was.
Oh, yeah, but you know who they are.
I do know who they are.
And I'm not at all surprised by that.
That's amazing. Because you saw the video. You can hardly see her face. She just looks like some blonde girl.
Okay, you want me to tell you how they did it? This is interesting, right? So they found the IP address of the guy who uploaded the video, which makes sense. So they go to the video first. They're like detectives, right? And so they're like, all right, so where did the video come from? And they trace that to Bosnia, and then they somehow connected it to his Facebook account and find out who it was that posted the video. Then they look through his Facebook and find all the women who might match that description, right? And they boil it down to 2 people, and then they did more detective work. If these guys actually put this kind of effort into actually fighting crime or something, or doing good in the world, they might be really, really useful. But some in that community, and I don't know why we're being cute about who it is, it's 4chan, right?
That's because one of their rules is you don't mention them.
Oh, is that right?
So I'm afraid to mention.
Okay, all right, just calm down. All right? I think they already know where we are. So anyway, so some of the people in that community were like, this is no good. We're actually helping people too much here. Okay, this should be the dark pit of the internet.
No. It's the best quote ever. I have to read it to you guys. This place used to be the darkest pit of the internet. Now it's a place full of justice fags all over.
And apparently the F word is used rather liberally throughout that website, okay, and that group. And the writer of one of these articles is like, well, you know, on the one hand, you got the bad guys who are pushing for nihilism and just being the dark pit of the internet. On the other hand, you have the good guys who are for vigilante justice throughout the world. Like, we're not sure which one's worse. So, all right, just real quick, let's go. We are an equal opportunity show. We like to present all perspectives. So, J.R. Jackson, can you give us a dog hater perspective on this video?
Do you want me to give you the dog hater perspective, which I don't have, or the perspective of putting things into I guess in the right order, or less the contrasting with something else that actually we should be caring more about?
All right, go.
I was really trying to stay out of this, you guys.
But I keep pulling you back.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna ask me. Yeah, this is horrible. It happened in Bosnia. What can we do about it? I know we kind of went over this already. But if it was here, she's 12 years old. We're gonna go ahead and assume that. How's this gonna keep her from doing it again if she cleans up dog shit for the rest of her life? I don't know. Are we looking for
give it a shot?
Are we looking for rehabilitation, or are we looking for revenge? If we're looking for revenge, why even have her clean up dog shit? Just kind of stab her a couple times.
Well, that seems a bit hard.
Or just throw her in the river. Fuck it. I don't know. But I mean, there's the thing. Yeah, it's horrible.
Is the grandma around to save her if we throw her in the river, or no?
Yeah, actually, give her a chance to save her. See what she can do. But really, the thing is like, we just had this kid from Rutgers jump off a bridge for shit that happened to him. I don't think we really care about these two people who kind of sent him in that direction. It's the same theme I always have. Yes, I care about dogs. Yes, I care about animals. How much do we care about other humans? Not so much.
All right. You know, I'm getting a little Ron Artest vibe from you. Okay, like, are you going to do a rap song about Afghan women next? Okay, by the way, although he hates dogs, in fact, it is true that on our Facebook account, it's called the Young Turks, they're the official fan page or whatever they call it. And by the way, if you want the web address, it's facebook.com/TYT Nation, okay? JR is, in fact, pictured with a dog at a TYT party. You can see it. You can see it for yourself.
Because I continue to get smeared. That's why. I'm just saying. That's all.
Okay, you are being smeared. It is wrong and outrageous. I understand. Okay. Speaking of which,
I mean, I'd at least tell me the response to that. I mean, is the point to get her to stop thinking this way? Because there's something wrong with the girl. We know that. We can all agree to that, right? Something wrong with her fucking head, and she's throwing 5, 6 puppies in the river, and she's laughing about it, right? I'm just trying. Do we want that to stop?
Yeah, we do. But what do you propose? We're not going to throw her in jail because she's 12 years old, supposedly. So, what do you want her punishment to be? What do you think would rehabilitate her?
Who knows? I'm not an expert in people's mentalities and why they injure animals when they're young people. There was some whole thing about that with George W. Bush when he was in office. They said he used to kill some little animals all the time, and he kind of had this weird kittens. You said?
No, I'm kidding. But that actually was Bill Frist. You remember the Senate Majority Leader for the Republicans? He, when he was at Harvard Medical School, he would do unauthorized experiments on cats. He would tell people, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take your cat for a walk for a second," and he'd open it up and do a heart surgery. He wouldn't tell him he's telling him.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a true story. He wouldn't tell him he's taking him for a walk, but he'd say it was official business center and cut the cats up.
He wouldn't even put them in a garbage can.
Yeah, man. And then when Harvard found out about it, they're like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? Why are you killing all these cats?" Okay, no. I'm telling you, man, these guys got issues. No, and then JR has a good point. All right, so we're going to go after that girl in Bosnia for doing this. Are we going to go after Bill Frist? Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, he didn't just throw them in the river. He cut their asses up. He sliced and diced them. I mean, he's a kitty serial killer.
Yeah, but they're cats, so it's different. No, I'm
okay,
100% kidding.
Okay. All right, so last thing, not on this, but on Facebook related. Look, we're coming, okay? You got to tell Randy Gonzalez. All of a sudden, we're all over Facebook, okay? So if you're not following us on Facebook, we're doing behind-the-scenes pictures on Facebook, okay? That's happening. We put all the pictures of the TYT party up. Now, Anna's on there. JR's on there. He doesn't want Jesus to grab his shine or something. He was talking about that yesterday, okay? And then he's going to outshine him or something. and I'm putting up pictures and tweets. I put up the picture of you from yesterday. People seem to like that picture. Remember the one I took of you in the red?
Yes, yes,
Da-da-da,
yeah.
da-da-da,
Da-da-da.
da-da-da, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Facebook.com/TYT Nation.
Slash
/TYT Nation. Furthermore, you just go for the Young Turks, fan page, and you'll see it. I'm always kind of annoyed that it's called a fan page, right? But that's the way Facebook set it up, so we don't really have a choice.
Right.
Right. And you can follow us there and see all the behind-the-scenes stuff. And we're putting up some exclusive videos, too.
Oh, we are.
Soon we're going to put up a little exclusive video of the party we had on Friday when we released the Kraken.
Correct.
I want you to think about it, okay? And check it out. Go. All right, what's next?
All right, a Saudi prince has been accused of murdering one of his servants. It was a male servant, and now there are rumors that he had a sexual relationship with that servant. The prince's name is Saud Abdulaziz bin Nasser Al Saud. That was pretty good, huh?
Not bad, not bad. No, here's how I would have gone for it. Prince Saud Abdulaziz bin Nasser Al Saud.
That's ridiculous.
I'm making it up anyway. I don't speak Arabic. but I rather enjoy that. So now here's a couple of things that are interesting about it. First, the guy, he was staying in a hotel in a place in London, right?
Yes.
And an employee at that building says, he says, look, I'm gay, and nothing was more obvious than the fact that Mr. Abdulaziz bin Nasser Al Saud was of my persuasion, okay? And he said, and then his gentleman friend, he's like, to give you a sense of it, this is the guy working in the building. He said they would color code their clothing.
Right.
He's like, please. Okay.
Which I don't think that's like a give-all, indication that someone's gay.
No, absolutely not. In fact, JR and Jesus the other day were saying, all right, now when I wear blue, you wear red, okay? And I wear pink, you wear turquoise.
Right.
So it could happen. Look, I don't want to, okay, I'm blue, bling. And I guess some straight guys could color code. And there's nothing wrong with color coding your outfits. Now, what's really wrong in this story is that he murdered his either lover or friend, very good close friend that he was staying with.
Right.
Now, he says it's not murder. He says it's just manslaughter, okay? And apparently his own cheek was bitten, and then he had some teeth missing, etc. So obviously they got into some massive fight, right? And so I don't know if it was over the color coding. I don't know what it was about. I'm going to let the courts, in my infinite mercy, decide whether it was manslaughter or murder or whatever. But the interesting part is the Saudis are a little bit more embarrassed that he might be gay than that he killed his lover.
Yeah,
or friend.
That's because in Saudi Arabia, homosexuality is on par with first-degree homicide.
Well,
that's incredible.
Well, this article is saying that that's apparently how they perceive it because they're flipping the hell out over the fact that this guy might be gay, and so their big, response, the Saudi government's response isn't, oh my God, he did not kill that person. That is just outrageous and ridiculous. Their response is, oh my God, he's not gay. That is outrageous and ridiculous. Well, did he kill the guy? Well, who cares about that, right? But he's definitely not gay, nor has he ever been. Kind of like Larry Craig. All right, what are you going to do with the Saudis? All right, we are going to come right back, and there will no longer be any stories about Prince Saud Abdulaziz bin Nasser Al Saud. Just want to do it again.
But there will be stories on mechanically separated poultry, which you find in your chicken nuggets.
What's in your chicken nuggets? Do you really want to know? If you do, come back. But I'm warning you. Young Turks.
Chicken, bald head, stand away. Ain't got no hair.
That is an oddly appropriate song for the story we're about to do.
Right.
Okay, but before we do that story, I was talking to Tom during the break about that outsourcing story I did about China. And he said, you should give full disclosure and mention that your relatives are Chinese. So, think about it. So when I say, the outsourcing to China is not so bad, I mean, it helps China. Gee, I wonder why I think that. And he said, your job can't get outsourced. Except, ironically, it can. My wife has, at times, been a talk show host. So she can outsource my job to China. But it stays in the family. All right. Anyways, I wanted another announcement. What was it? Hold on. Be cool. Oh, yes. Okay. Listen, everybody. Okay, listen up. Clip of the day. It's coming. What is it? Okay. Every day we're picking the news story that we think is most important or interesting, the one you got to see. Okay. We're putting it up on our YouTube channel as the main story. So either before you go to bed or you wake up in the morning, you want to know what's going on in the world, boom, TYT clip of the day. Does that make sense, Casper?
That makes sense.
Perfect sense, right?
Although I think you should watch all of our videos every single day.
I mean, I don't disagree with that.
Especially the ones with me in them.
No question about that, all right? And sometimes Casper isn't in the clip of the day, so she's, you know what I'm saying? Okay. But it could be a political story. It could be, Christian Bale losing it. Whatever is like the one thing that people are talking about and you should check out.
Mm-hmm.
So tell your friends,
Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell Randy Gonzalez, I'm coming.
Okay. So tell them through Facebook, tell them through Twitter, tell them, just forward it to them. But just mainly, just check it out. It'll be good. You'll believe me. We'll give you spicy stories. And you'll be like, did you see? In fact, you would not have missed Phil Davison.
Mm-hmm.
There's still people asking, who is that guy?
Really?
There are people who are saying,
Who said that?
Okay. Now, if you'd seen the Young Turks clip of the day on that day, you would have known. I'm just saying. All right. So we're coming. We're coming to your house. Go. Next.
All right, there's this picture circulating around the internet, and when I first saw it, I thought it was soft serve ice cream, and I'm like, why is everyone making such a big deal about it? It's in headlines, it's everywhere, right? So I finally decided to read the story to figure out what it is and why it's such a big deal. Jesus, I want you to go to the picture. And, okay, so...
Oh, geez, and Lord mercy, what is that? Look, hold on. Ice cream is good, except it would be gigantic. Okay, that's a good guess. The second thing I thought was that it was like a boa constrictor or something, like, some sort of massive snake.
A massive pink boa constrictor.
Well, it's pink, that's all, but somebody was having fun.
Right.
Maybe cotton candy. So what does it turn out to be?
It's actually mechanically separated poultry.
That sounds delicious.
And this substance that you see here, which is known as poultry paste, is used in mass-produced chicken nuggets.
Oh.
So you would think like, oh, what's the big deal? It looks like finely ground chicken, right? Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that back in the 1960s, meat producers wanted to find a way to increase their profits, and they wanted to find a way to use the meat that's left behind, like tendons, meat that's stuck on bones, eyeballs, muscle tissue, all this part of the chicken that we used to toss out.
Right.
Okay. So what this machine does is you put all these parts into it, and it grinds it all up.
Uh-huh.
And then they use this paste in chicken nuggets. They can also do this with pork. So a lot of times they'll use it in bologna, or they'll use it in hot dogs.
Salami, pepperoni, which, I love salami. And I read that and I was like, oh, no, disaster. Now, we always knew that what was inside a hot dog was disastrous, but actually seeing it makes it worse. And not only that, now you see it's pink, and so it goes through this whole process. And as I was looking at that picture, I actually figured out what it is, at least what it looks like. It looks like a pink elephant taking a dump.
Ugh.
Okay, so, although I'm not sure that even the dump would come out pink. Nonetheless, okay, and so what did they do?
Okay.
They put ammonia on?
Okay, so this doesn't seem like, even knowing that they put tendons and eyeballs and muscle tissue, maybe that doesn't gross you out. But what they do to make this matter taste good is disgusting, okay? So first of all, it's crawling in bacteria, so they wash it with ammonia.
Great.
And then the ammonia makes it taste really, really bad, so then they use artificial flavoring, and then since it's a weird pink color, they'll use artificial dyes.
Right. And by the way, why is it pink, right? That's a strange color for meat to be. My guess is a lot of blood got mixed into there.
Ew.
Okay, I'm just guessing. I don't know that. That's not in the story, okay? But here's where they lost me. Ammonia. Okay, the minute they said they were mixing ammonia into it, I was like, disaster. Now, the thing is, we just don't know what's in our food. I don't know if that's in my salami. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Like McDonald's says, oh, that's not in our chicken McNuggets. Oh, no.
Right.
We use other kinds of nasty meat, but not that one.
Well,
okay.
Here's the good thing. The USDA now requires all products with mechanically separated meat to note that on the ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to eat this stuff, you can just look at the list of ingredients on the product and make sure that there's no mechanically separated poultry or pork in it. But
And to be fair to McDonald's, they really say they don't use mechanically separated meat.
they used to, but now they use all white meat chicken.
Okay, all right. Yeah, look, we don't know.
Right,
we don't
we
know.
don't.
I'm not saying anything. You know?
Look, and McDonald's chicken nuggets are delicious. So I really hope that they don't.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like this, for me, the salami's delicious. Now this thing's got me paranoid that I'm eating pig elephant dump. You know, but I don't want to be paranoid. I just want to eat it because it tastes good. But, and I'll tell you what, they do amazing stuff with that artificial crap that they load in there. But imagine how much artificial crap they got to put in there to turn that gump into something that tastes like salami. You see what I'm saying?
So nasty.
Yes, Jax.
Makes you wonder what salami actually tastes like, first of all.
That's totally true, yes.
But then also, every time I see something like this is when we always say, oh my God, we have no idea where cancer comes from. We don't. Well, to an extent, certain kinds of cancer. Man, there's so many weird things we put in our bodies that we have no idea. And this could be all contributing factors. Because it's all different reasons. You're like, oh, it's just an act of God. He gave me cancer. No. You ate something all your life or injected something in your body you had no idea you were putting in your body. This is my theory. I'm probably totally wrong. But who knows all this shit we're putting in our heads?
And look, you think they got that food, the meat, et cetera, all that food that they, for 99 cents? Somehow they made it cost under 99 cents and you should be eating that? Now, don't get me wrong, I eat that stuff all the time, and I probably shouldn't. But I'm there, but for the grace of God. Okay, I live in a giant glass house. I'm just saying, there ain't no way they got that thing to cost 199 cents if they ain't, let's put it this way: they're not giving you the highest quality of meat they possibly could. Okay, in case you didn't know. All right, what's next?
All right, rapper Lil Wayne is in jail for possessing a weapon. He had a semi-automatic gun on his bus back in 2007. So he got an 8-month sentence, and he just recently got caught with gear to listen to music. Right. So headphones, an iPod, and the jail considers that contraband. So since he had that, they decided, okay, for his last month in jail, we are going to put him in solitary confinement.
Okay. Now, in solitary confinement, you spend 23 hours alone, okay? And you get 1 hour to go out and shower and walk around. And in fact, you actually cannot interact with the other inmates anyway, right? But at least you get to go outside of your cell. Now, in normal jail, you get to make a call about once a day, right?
Right.
Solitary confinement, 1 call a week.
A week. You're not allowed to have visitors other than your lawyer. You're not allowed to watch television. You're literally cooped up in your jail cell 23 hours a day with no contact from the outside world other than a guard who gives you food.
Right. I think that would drive me crazy.
No, okay, thank you. Look, I'm not some crazy Lil Wayne lover, whatever. But what did he do? He had gear to listen to music. The rapper, God forbid, had gear to listen to music, and they're going to put him in solitary confinement for a month?
Now, if that wasn't enough for you, where they really lost me is it turns out he could get that stuff from the commissary anyway.
Right.
It's just that this was slightly better equipment that was unauthorized. That's your punishment? Look, I don't understand this world. First of all, people walk in with guns to political rallies, and that's okay, right? This guy's somebody had a gun on his bus. He gets sentenced for a year, is going to serve 8 months, 1 month in solitary, right? Now, I know it depends on the jurisdiction. It depends on if he had a license. I get all that, right? But at the same time, is that appropriate punishment? I don't. One side is allowed to have all the guns in the world, but you didn't fill out the right paperwork. Right. You're going to go to jail for 8 months. Like Lindsay Lohan will rub cocaine in a cop's face, be like, here, this is what I'm snorting. Here, you take this, right? She goes to jail for 13 seconds.
Right.
So and then he has the wrong kind of headset for his music.
Right.
Solitary for a month.
No, and look.
That's crazy.
I hate the idea of solitary confinement because I'm convinced that it causes psychological damage, okay? And, I understand why some individuals in prison should be put in solitary confinement for a certain amount of time. But in my mind, the only people who deserve that are those who are violent, those who cause a threat, not people that are listening to music while they're in jail. That's insanity.
Right.
That's a severe punishment for something so small.
And my guess, now I'm just guessing here, is that if they probably didn't like him. He probably rubbed warden or the guards or whoever is supervising him the wrong way. Because that's such a thing that they could just say, hey, I'm going to throw it in the garbage, and now you have to go buy it from the commissary. Or they can do this insanely harsh punishment instead. And they use that discretion in this way if they didn't like him in the first place. You see what I'm saying? So it ain't right, man. It ain't right. I mean, on the upside, it'll help with street cred, but I'm not sure that's worth losing your mind. Like, it doesn't help Lindsay Lohan's street cred if she's in jail, but Lil Wayne, you're like, oh, weapons charges, nicely done. Maybe that's not really how he thinks, but nonetheless, you see my point.
Let him go.
Let him go! Okay. Is Plaxico Burress out of jail yet?
I don't know.
I don't think he's out of jail yet. That's the dude.
He had weapons as well.
Yeah, he was a football player, shot himself in the ass, no, in the foot, and yeah, through his pants, shot himself in the leg, right? And he's still in jail. Jared, let me ask you something, okay? Come on, we haven't gotten racialist in a long time. Vic goes to jail, Plaxico goes to jail, Lil Wayne goes to jail, Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan could, bitch slap a cop's wife or mom, and they'd be like, all right, okay, 2 more days of rehab, right? Is it racialist?
I'm not even gonna answer that. No, there's a level of like this violence that is a cloud hovering over those guys. Guns, violent dogs, all this stuff, killing animals, all that stuff is violence. So then, really, in reality, I don't think anybody really cares about drugs. They just use that for their own purposes, for politically wise. It's the reason why these things are illegal in the first place. We all know this. But so when you have something that's violent, then you say, oh my God, and they're big guys that are violent. Oh God, they're carrying guns around. Actually, Lil Wayne is not big.
Yeah, Lil Wayne.
He's little.
He's a little guy. But it's
in the title.
No, because if they don't, guess who's gonna rise up? Society. Like, I can't believe you're letting these violent people out. What are they doing with the rest of the violent people that are running around the streets? It's gonna,
But I repeat, is that a little racialist?
Of course it is. You guys, yes.
Oh, there, he said it. Okay.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Both barrels, guns loaded.
Hide your kids,
Oh, you gotta play that one. Come on.
hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
The best.
Okay. When
Even if they don't know it, I'm not even saying it's conscious.
I'm with you. It might be subconscious. I got you. Totally. By the way, when Marina was here, Hot for Words, she saw the soundboard, right? Because it's down here. And it's Dave writes it in pencil. Every little thing is like written like almost a sentence. And she's like, you can read that? Mm-hmm. She's like, no. And then I said, oh, yeah, I screwed up sometimes. She's like, okay. Now I look at it. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
When Aaron was here, he took a photo of the sound machine and posted it on his Facebook page and said, now I know why Jank messes up all the time.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
You should put that on TYT Nation Facebook. I'm on a warpath today. All right, what's next? Go.
All right, we have Japan's oldest porn star. In fact, he's one of the oldest porn stars in the world. Okay? He is 76 years old, and for a long time, he starred in hundreds of porn flicks without his family knowing about it. He has a wife and a daughter. They didn't find out about it until 2 years ago. And he got into porn because one day he was at a porn shop, and he was approached by a filmmaker that said, you're going to fit in our movies because you have a pervert's face.
Well, that's my favorite part of the story. Okay, he's 60 years old. They're like, hey, you look perfect. You look like a perv. Okay, come here, you pervy wanker.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna put you in porn. And what I love about this guy is he's like, wait, let me get this straight. So I'm gonna get to have sex with girls who are in their early 20s.
Right.
And I'm going to be paid $400 to $500 a day. Here's my answer.
Yes!
Yes! Okay.
No, you know what's so crazy about this, though? There's a huge fetish for this type of porn, with old men sleeping with young women.
Yeah.
But why would people be? I mean, I could understand why people would be interested in Japan because they have an older population. They're aging, they're growing, yada yada yada. But is this just in Japan, or is
No.
So this is something that people have a fetish for in the United States as well.
Of course.
I feel so naive talking because I don't know. Why would guys be interested in watching old men bang young women.
Well, all right. First, it's because young women are involved. Okay. Secondly,
Right.
if you're an older guy, maybe you associate yourself with that guy. You think
Oh,
like,
that makes sense.
hello, and so you're like, oh yeah. And then if I got with a 20-year-old, you know what I'm saying, right? So, and then number three is, I think even some non-older men who are like, oh, that's dirty. That's dirty, dirty. See what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, look, you're asking me to try to explain grandpa porn. I'm giving it my best shot, okay? By the way, you know, they say that in Japan, that this niche is 20 to 30% of the porn market.
Yeah.
Wow! Man, I get it. It's a fetish, right? But geez, Lord mercy.
The market in Japan for this type of porn has doubled in the last decade.
Right. Now, again, as Anna mentioned, it's because of the older demographics. Japan is getting older and older, and so it's not surprising that it would grow in size, but 20 to 30% is amazing. So then here's the other part of the story I love, his wife.
Oh, no, his wife is the most amazing woman on the planet.
On the planet.
On the planet, okay? Because he is doing this for years without her knowing about it, right? And let me tell you how he got caught. So he's going to be in some new porn called Prohibited Elderly Care Volume 45.
Okay, in a lot of the porn, as you can tell, it's volume 45. He's doing nurses. So the nurse comes in to take care of the old man who looks like a pervert, and the next thing you know, and this guy's 76 now, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, still, right? And so, man, this guy's done it at least 45 times.
Right.
So this gets sent over to his house.
It gets faxed over. The transcript for the porn gets faxed over to his home, and his daughter finds it. His 35-year-old daughter finds it, and she's like, oh, so my father's in a porn. And then, the mother finds out about it. His wife finds out. And she doesn't care. She seemed super supportive of it. In fact, she told him, this is what he says, my wife lets me do whatever I want to do now that I'm retired. She's just concerned about my health and tells me not to work too hard.
Don't bang too many 20-year-olds. Take it easy, because he had a heart problem before.
Right.
Okay. Now, the daughter, when she got the fax, she's like, I wonder what this is. Oh, I get what it is. I wonder which part my dad is playing. Oh, right, the old pervert. Okay. This guy had not told his family the whole time, right? And every day he'd get dressed, like, in a little outfit and grab his lunch and go off to work like he was going to be an accountant or whatever, and then he'd go do porn. And then people started coming up to him in restaurants and asking for his autograph. Okay, come on, that's awesome, right? And then the wife is fantastic. She's like, look, he says, she lets me have all the freedom I want, and she understands. And you know what? She's right. The guy's 76 years old. What are you worried about him cheating on you? He's not going to fall in love. It's a job for him, right?
Right.
He goes and then he gets to enjoy himself.
And not only that, he's making $400 to $500 a day. Who do you think is benefiting from that? Get it, girl.
Get it. Everybody's a winner in this story, okay? And if somebody were to come out, look, I would never do porn now. But if I'm 75 years old, they're like, all right, now I'm going to pay you. I'm a pensioner in Japan, right? And I'm going to pay you to have sex with these hot girls. That's a tough offer to turn down. You see what I'm saying? By the way, one of the movies he's in was Maniac Training of Lolitas. He says, sometimes I have an issue with the plot line, right? He's like, but it's a job. What am I going to do? So if he's got to do Maniac Training of the Lolitas, he's got to do it. Okay? So, who doesn't love this guy? All right. There's some good jobs in the world. You know what? What really bothers me is that this job got outsourced.
Yeah, Japan.
Good 76-year-old American men could have been doing this. And believe me, they are. Okay, come right back.